Hi, this is Dave Feinlieb with another episode of Big Data TV brought to you by BigDataLandscape.com, and I'm here today with Amit Bendov of SiSense. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Davey. Nice to be here.
So your company is in the business analytics, business intelligence space, generally speaking. Tell us a little about the company and what you do.
Well, SiSense makes Prism. Prism is a software that anyone can download from a website and get to big data analytics in a matter of minutes. Unlike some of the traditional solutions that are hefty, expensive, complicated, no large company can afford, with Prism, any company, small, large, or medium-sized, can get from data to analytics in a matter of a few minutes at a fraction of the cost of what it used to cost to analyze big data.
And does that also work in the cloud? Is it just on the desktop? How does it all work?
It works wherever you want it to work. So you can work on-premise, on cloud, on a laptop, same price. We don't care. In fact, in Strata in New York last month, we demonstrated I can analyze a terabyte of data on a 750 bytes laptop, believe it or not. So that was pretty amazing, and people were like lining up to see how the little miracle.
Yeah, pretty remarkable stuff. What is it that that makes that possible? What's the technical innovation?
Well, this is both deep and broad technology that was developed by the founders of the company for over 6 years. Basically, it's a next generation of BI. First, there is a database, the traditional BI solutions. Then there's the in-memory solution. SiSense is already the third generation. It combines a lot of different things to get that kind of performance. But first, it's in-memory, but also work with a disk. So with in-memory processing, if you think something like HANA or some of the lower-end in-memory solution, you're limited to how much data can fit into physical RAM. With SiSense, we definitely use the physical RAM, but you have 2 terabytes of disk and 64 gigs of RAM, you're fine. You can have 2 terabytes of data. Second, it's a columnar database. Works 50 to 100 times faster than a relational database. It's what most of the traditional tools use. Very strong compression. Last but not least, very strong hardware optimization. It was designed from scratch to 64-bit parallel processing on standard commodity hardware, so you don't need to buy anything that is dedicated, custom design hardware. Whatever you can buy at a shop, you could probably use right away.
So a real use of commodity hardware to provide really fast data analytics across very broad data sets.
Absolutely.
Great, great. So you joined the company as CEO. What are some of the things that that attracted you to the company and got you involved?
Well, I've had 2 successful companies before that, and when I looked at SiSense, first, everybody knows it's a huge market, basically infinite in size. A lot of money is changing hands, and it just keeps growing. First, the team here is phenomenal. Really sharp, both from a technical, and their energy is unbelievable. Hundreds of customers are happy. They're renewing. We're software as a service model, so basically, if we're not good, customers don't renew. So that was phenomenal. The technology is so ahead of the curve that it's unbelievable. Really, the amount of data we can process, no tools in the area can even approach what we're doing here. So basically, everything is scaled and geared up for scaling up, and it's ready to go on fire.
That's great. That's great. Talk about a customer use case or two. What are people actually using this for?
Well, it runs the whole gamut, and it's unbelievable how much, how many types of customers. We have, obviously, from some of the world's largest brands, like, Target is using it for in-store theft analysis for 1,800 stores across the United States. We have people in NASA that are using that. We have Merck as a customer. So lots of large companies, and also lots of small companies. A lot of the hottest startups, companies like Wix and WeFi and Uber. A lot of online companies. Everyone that has large amounts of data, and they don't need to be a big company. It's often people think that you need to be a Walmart or a Facebook to have big data, but lots of if you're just two guys and a dog, okay, doing mobile analytics application. There you go, billions of impressions.
Yeah, yeah.
So
a company like Wix or a company like Uber, what are they using it for?
Well, let's take Wix for example. They have millions of websites. Okay, that Wix. If you don't know, Wix helps small businesses and individuals build websites very easy. So they have millions of websites, which in turns have who knows, like hundreds of millions of visitors to each one of these websites,
Sure.
and they constantly analyze traffic, conversion, who's using what are the trends, what are the patterns. That's a lot of data to crunch, and that's how they use. Pretty much dozens of employees in the company are looking at dashboards day in, day out.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's a really interesting use, and they have so many websites. So I can imagine that's a great use case. So in terms of price point, what does a product like this cost, and what would a customer expect to spend on this kind of product?
Well, it's certainly a fraction of what it traditionally used to put BI solution for a number of reasons. First, commodity hardware. So if you want to run some of the Oracle and SAP things, they even just the hardware and the basic software comes at a very hundreds of thousands of dollars. Second, you don't need any consulting fees. Basically, the software is up and running in a matter of hours. You want maybe a couple of days, but that's it. So you can do it yourself without hiring IT developers. Third, we're a software as a service pricing model, whether you use it on-premise or in the cloud, which is not so common in the industry. Most vendors, they charge you, pretty hefty amount up front, and then you may end up being stuck with shelfware. With SiSense, you always keep us on our toes. So it's an annual subscription. It starts as little as $5,000 a year, depending on how many users, and usually in the tens of thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands for large implementation. But that's the model.
What a great way to stay aligned with your customers. It sounds like that you're really aligned with them. So that's a great thing.
Absolutely.
So Opus Capital and Genesis Partners invested in SiSense. Talk a little about the funding and what you're doing with the capital, and then when you plan to raise money again, if you do.
Well, they both invested $10 million to date in the company. We're using it, obviously, to develop the product. Although the product, for almost 2 years, we're perfecting the product, working with almost very little marketing. And the company has been almost more than tripled sales for 2 consecutive years, okay, with almost very little marketing. Hundreds of customers in 49 countries. Now we're scaling it up and basically investing more in marketing and sales and expansion and growing the support team. So that's the major use of the money. We're probably going to do another round sometime next year. We're good for now, but probably first half of next year we're going to be raising more.
Great. So let's wrap up by talking about the future of big data. What are some of your thoughts on where this whole space is headed?
Oh, where do we start?
Yeah.
Okay, so first, I think that more companies are realizing that they always have big data. They just didn't know it was called big data. And they have a lot of data in the attic, and now the technology is there that they can make use of it. I think that our mission is to make big data available to all companies, not just the large companies. If you look at the number of case studies out there, it's really very limited.
Yeah.
There's always Facebook and Target and the big boys. We see that big data is coming not just for the Fortune 1000, it's for the Fortune 1 million. Lots of companies can do it and take advantage. Basically, using very simple software and hardware, you don't need to run 80 node Hadoop clusters to analyze big data. I think that's overrated. I think in memory, we're starting to see the limitations. That's what we personally are tackling, to go beyond in memory, that basically not provide the same kind of performance, but not being bound by the physical limits of the memory. And overall, I think companies have identified this as really an edge and a weapon that they can use in a competitive landscape, and it's going to become pretty much a standard. If you don't understand your data, it'll be hard for you to compete in the market.
That's a great insights on big data. Well, Amit, so great having you. SiSense, super interesting product and offerings, and thanks for being on the show.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks, David.